And that includes our two new ebooks that we've put on the Duran shop, which one of them touches on Ukrainegate and the other one on the Epstein saga. Alexander, two new ebooks.
Indeed, two cases, two case studies of elite malpractice. I mean, if we turn to Epstein first, I mean, the only way to understand the Epstein scandal is as a scandal of the elite. I mean, and not just of the American elite, but of course of the global elite, because the thing that came across very obviously about Epstein is that this is a man of global connections. He obviously he's based, as we all know, in the United States. He was supposedly a financier in New York, and nobody really knows how he made his money. But of course, he had connections, with very strong connections, as we've now discovered, with Britain. One of his closest associates, Ghislaine Maxwell, is British. The scandal has come and is affecting Britain itself, with a member of the royal family, Prince Andrew, involved. But Britain is not the only country where Epstein had business or was involved in. He had a very, very swanky apartment in Paris. So he had connections with the French elite, which we've just been talking about. He had connections to Israel, and there's been lots of stories about that. He had connections to Saudi Arabia, where he claimed residence. And he was even the holder of a fake Australian passport. All very interesting and very confusing and very unexplained, but clearly someone who, as I said, belongs to this global elite that we are talking about. And we see in Epstein certain interesting qualities of this elite. Firstly, its sense of complete immunity and unaccountability. I mean, Epstein was able to carry out all these extraordinary crimes that he did in full public view. So he had people like Bill and Hillary Clinton coming along. He had people like Alan Dershowitz coming along. He had all sorts of other people. And he had all these glamorous parties, and all these victims were there. And supposedly nobody saw anything, which I don't believe, by the way. And nothing happened. So this enormous sense of privilege and power and lack of accountability, and a sense that you can do anything you basically like. If you're rich enough and powerful enough, you can get away with it. And the other thing that is so interesting about the Epstein case is consider the nature of his victims. You know, these are not rich, powerful people. These are girls, mainly lower class girls from local schools, easily enticed into his world, subject to appalling abuse. And again, one senses an elite that really doesn't care about such people anymore, that isn't interested in them, that sees them essentially as objects to be exploited or manipulated or mistreated or abused, rather than as human beings with rights like everyone else's rights. So in this book, we talked about Epstein. We talk about the mysteries that surround the man, the fact that there's so little known still about him, this extraordinary carapace of protection that encircled him, the continuing mysteries about his death. Even that isn't been fully or properly explained. We look at the various interconnections we had. And as I said, we talk mainly and principally, I think, about not just Epstein himself, but about the world in which he functioned. And in our other book, that's also a book about yet another elite scandal, because we talk about the globalized elite, but you know, we were talking here in this video about the technocrats who sustain Macron in power in France. We've seen a similar sort of technocrats in power in Washington. We saw them all operating round the clock during Russiagate, when the Trump campaign was put under massive surveillance because Donald Trump was seen as somebody who might threaten the position of that elite. And now we saw them all coming along as witnesses in the Ukrainegate drama, people like, ambassadors and State Department officials and anonymous whistleblowers and all of those people. And again, it's so obviously, to my way of thinking, an elite conspiracy against someone who is seen in some way, shape or form to be a threat to that elite. And in this book, we also discuss at considerable length how thin the whole case of Ukrainegate, actually is. So 2 books about very similar topics, and very similar topics to the ones that we've discussed on this video.